I'm Emiliano. I live in Mexico City. I'm from here, and I'm a painter. So that's me.
What does your typical day look like in the studio?
My typical day. All right. Basically, it all starts with me playing some music. It's always like that. I put some music on, and often I have like many I'm working at many paintings at the time, so they're like in various stages, so I can just go in and sit down and look at them for a while, right? And there are days where I go to the studio and I have like I don't know, like already an idea for a certain painting, but there are most of the time it's not like that. It's like, oh, all right, I arrive and I just take a moment to see them, to know, or to try to understand where they going. Like I always think like my paintings go are like, I don't know, evolving, and it's not like a linear I don't know track. It's sometimes I regret the things I do, so I have to like, well, wait for it to dry and then start over. Like, but actually, that's one of the things I like the most, because I don't really work out of sketches. I never sketch. I mean, I'm constantly drawing, but I have no sketches for any particular painting. So it's like they are all evolving like all the time until it's like, all right, there it is. That's what I meant to say. And it, well, it sounds like, I don't know if it's like I have like a thing, or a specific speech with each painting, but it's not like that. I mean, sometimes it starts with a happy thought and it turns and it goes like to a darker place, and then it rises up again, and it's like a kind of like a roller coaster. And I try to document everything in the paintings, right? That's why I enjoy covering the things I did with new things. And well, basically that's it.
Okay,
That's
awesome.
well, and yeah, and that's how I start to work every time. It's like, okay, I go in the studio, I put some music, make some coffee, and sit down for a while, um until it hits me, right? Like, and sometimes it's like very quickly, like I don't know, it's like, all right, this one needs a yellow stroke, or something. And sometimes it's like very frustrating because I'm sitting there and the hours pass and I'm doing nothing, and it's like, okay. And but I've learned that if I force it, like if I'm like, I don't know, uh rushing it, I it will fail, right? So it's like, like, yeah, I've come to make peace with time
Okay.
somehow.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
I want to follow up with a couple things on that.
Yeah, sure.
What music are you listening to right now? What are you into?
Okay,
That's
right now,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm listening a lot to I don't know, hip hop, I think, and electronic music. Yeah, it's like something like that. But I always come to rock music, and jazz are my favorite genres. So, but yeah, mostly, well, I would say electronic music right now. It's like, I don't know, it strikes a nerve. Like, I don't know, it's like, okay. And besides, well, and hip hop, because it's not new, but it's new to me. Uh, because of the sampling, it's
Mhm.
like, all right, I just read this book. I can remember the name right now. And it's, well, I don't know how it's in English. But it must be something like post-production by this French historian. I'll tell you the name in a bit. Yeah. And it talks about the right, the post-production, and talks about the sampling, right? Like a DJ or a computer hacker, and I don't know. I think that's also what I'm doing. I'm sampling things about my day to day. It's like, okay, most of the things I paint, I take them from magazines or Instagram or whatever, and it's like, I don't know, I I copy and paste them in my canvases. So
Mhm.
uh and then I realized that hip hop music does the same. So I was like listening to hip hop just to see what, because it has never been a my kind of music until now, but it's cool.
How has your idea of being an artist changed from when you were in school to being an artist now? Can you just talk a little bit about maybe your experience in school, and then how has that changed now that you're actually making the work? How has that
Okay, yeah,
transition?
sure. Um, well, while I was in school, I was like very fond of uh pop art. I mean, I love Andy Warhol's work and relations things, and I was like, all right, I want to do something like that, but I really couldn't mm, make anything new, or nothing that really fulfills me, right? So it's like, well, I'm just doing mock-ups for it's not original, it's not what I intend to do, it has nothing. Here in Mexico, surrealism is like very popular, but but I really never I mean, I like surrealist artists, like, I don't know, Remedios Varo and Leonard Carrington, but it's not what I wanted to do, because it's like very common in here. It's like, I don't know, it's I was telling my dad one time, like, being saying that you are surrealist and being Mexican, it's it's kind of the same. We are like very strange people. But it has been like since the 20s, I think. It's like, yeah, and people are trying to do the I don't know,
Mhm.
to make something new out of it, but I don't wanted to do that, and I was doing it with pop art. So it's like, okay, it's this is not the way. I am like, it's not what I was expecting. So
Mhm.
um I stumbled with the German painters, right?
Mhm.
So they really talked to me. They still do. And they were like what I wanted to do, because they were like kind of poppy, but not like, I mean, like, but not like the American pop artist. And they were like, I don't know, like giving painting more I don't know, like a heavier role, right? Like it was not just doing the images, but it was also the material, right? And that's what I wanted. So I realized that I can use whatever image and cover it with paint, and paint will be just paint, but it says something. It says something. It's like, okay, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to establish a vocabulary with paint as a material, and imagery by painting them, right?
How do the museums in Mexico City play a role in how you think about artwork, your artwork and creativity?
Yeah, I'm always visiting museums and galleries, but I don't really aim to the Mexican artists, like
Mhm.
the the ones already in history. I mean, like the Diego Rivera and Orozco and stuff, like the ones who make the murals. I don't really care for them. It's like, well, yeah, there are the Mexican history in art, but it's not I don't know, I don't really feel like something with them. uh and we also have our our modern art museum here, but that it's mostly them and the surrealists. So it's like, well, I don't really I mean, I go and I look at stuff and yeah, but I really want the Jumex Museum. It's like very cool because it's like it has international exhibitions, so it's my way to really see outside a screen the works that are being made in the world. So it's like very important to me. Um and yeah, I mean, I don't I like Mexican art. There is this artist who is called Rufino Tamayo, and he's like a very big influence in my work in terms of painting as a material. I mean, when you see Tamayo's work, it's very m- material. It has a lot of body. Its work. So his work. So I really like him. And well, the imagery he uses, I like it too. It's like very folk Mexican folk imagery, like uh animals and I don't know. Yeah, the kind of people. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
So
Okay.
yeah, but museums, yeah, they are like very important to me. But I think right now I take um, uh I can get more from books or internet because of the artist I'm looking at right now. Yeah, it's not that Mexican artist it's not good, but it's not what I am looking for.
Mhm.
So
Let's jump into a couple paintings and
mhm.
talk about, you mentioned the sampling. I mean, I definitely see that in a lot of your pieces.
Yeah.
In this piece
Well,
in particular, how did this piece arrive? How did the imagery get into there? What was your thought process?
this piece in particular started. This is like a very small piece, small because I was working on larger formats, but and I was working with the idea of starting with a graffiti, right? So I back then I took my canvases out. I hanged them in a wall in my father's garage, and I sprayed them with like I made big graffitis so that only a little fragment stayed in the canvas. So if you tilt your head like a little bit, you can see back there are like green lines. They're like what in graffiti it's called a throw up. It's like this kind of tags people do, but it's I don't really know what it says. I don't remember, but it's just like a tiny detail of the letters, right? This one is not made with spray paint, not this part. And it's because the others were, I meant. But I like the idea. So because this was a very tiny painting and I hadn't the caps because it would be like just a big line and it would lose all the purpose. I did it with oils, and but it's the same concept. Then I flipped it so it would be vertical now, but it was like upside down, and I drew Felix the cat, like this old very old cartoon, because I like cats. So I was like scrolling down internet and my Pinterest, I think, and it was like, oh, Felix the cat. So I drew him, and then I found a book about Monet. Right, yeah, it was Monet. So I was like seeing Monet's lily pads, and I try to, of course I'm not Monet, so I try to put like also a very tiny detail of one of his paintings, and it's also upside down. Then I leave the painting like a couple, I think, weeks, and well, it starts to bug me that of course I'm not Monet, so it was like a very poor attempt to make something I couldn't really do. So that's where I sprayed this kind of white line, and then I put oil just to make this kind of fluorescent kind of yeah, line. And here in Mexico, when you go to the supermarket, they give you this kind of catalog of the sales of the month, and there were this carrots, and I thought like, oh, it's a very nice picture of the carrots. So I cut the carrots out and well start to play with the tiny cutout, and it fit like in that particular position. So I painted. And then that's basically it. It's like I don't know. It's like yeah. So it's yeah, it's not very like a very interesting explanation, I think, but that's how it came to be, of painting as a material and as a I don't know, a way to represent things. That's why there are this kind of lines also, because if I had only just put like Felix the cat and the carrots and Monet and maybe the graffiti, it's like blocks. I think of them about as blocks, right? So it's like, but when you go and put paint just as paint, it's like okay, it has another kind of meaning, I believe. So yeah.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up now. Is there
Okay.
anything else you want to say about your work, or where you feel like the next group of paintings or the next ideas are going?
Well, my next idea, we talked about it. It's like I want to use text in my paintings. I don't really know why, but it's just like I'm at this point of my production where I think I could use words, right? Because I don't know, words have for me like another it's another language, right? And I want to like merge them together. Like I don't really know how just now, but I want to. That's where I aim to go from here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a follow-up question to that.
All right.
So we discussed this a little bit. So how do you feel? I think one of the things you said is that language is political.
Oh
Can
yeah.
you dig a little bit deeper on how you feel the act of putting language within a painting is political?
Yeah, I think maybe political, it's like me being so a little bit dramatic, but it's not like in a bad way. But I mean, words it's something like everyone or can understand, right? If you read the word, I don't know, dog, you understand it. I mean, maybe you think about a certain kind of dog and Lorella about another, but you both are thinking about dogs. And when you see the image, it's like, well, it is there, and maybe because in my work it gets like hidden beneath many layers, it's not quite easy to see Felix the cat, right? But there it is. But if I put the name Felix the cat, well, you all will be thinking about the same thing. So it's I meant political in that kind of way. It's like, well, it's easy to understand. It's easy. I don't know if is it's the right word, but it's like yeah, it's uh it's more universal, right? It's like okay, and that also is it's like a good thing, because I really like to read novels and poems, and maybe it would be like very well, it's very different to read a Dada poem that another kind of poem, right? So and it's yeah, I think that if I put words in my paintings, I will not leave so many space to the for the imagination of the viewer, right? I will say, well, okay, there is a glove, right? Like a yellow glove. So, or there are flowers, and it's like, okay, so it's like, I don't know. That's and I try to avoid that. That's why I don't really use text, because I like people to give meaning to my paintings, but not the meaning I painted them with. I like people to really, I don't know, see my paintings as they want,
Okay.
not as they were intended. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much,
No, thank
Emiliano,
you.
for your time, and we're looking forward to seeing your work in the future.